Good evening, everybody. And if you're just tuning in, thanks for hanging in there. We're starting a few minutes late. I apologize. Technical difficulties happens with live radio. You are listening to the Angel Rock with your host, myself, Lorilei Potvin. If you are listening, please pop over to UFO Paranormal Radio on YouTube, or we have UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials. I'm also streaming this on my YouTube channel, which is the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. Many places on Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter, all under UFO Paranormal Radio. And if you've been to my show before, welcome back. And if you haven't, a little bit about myself. I'm a Canadian psychic medium. I'm a crystal Reiki energy healer, an Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor, and a registered nurse. And my guest is showing you her lovely hands. And my show, I cover all aspects of, I got to find a better word than the supernatural, but I do. I cover all aspects of the supernatural, anywhere from UFOs to the paranormal, to aliens, to time travel, power of positive thinking, power of the mind, angels, how to access your spirit guides, and we even get into some truth seeking. I really don't like the word conspiracy theory. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to introduce my guest, who's a very, very good friend of mine, very close friend. She's from the U.S. She is an Akashic Records practitioner. She's the crystal architect, or I like to call her the crystal wizard. And she's also an epidemiologist and spiritual teacher. Her name is Leanne Clark. Welcome, Leanne.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. We've got Dave Petrella. Dave, welcome. I haven't talked to Dave in so long. He was a guest on my show, and we've become very good friends. He's an amazing astrologist.
Oh,
So, Dave,
wonderful.
you've heard me talk about Leanne. This is Leanne. And
Hey.
tonight, since we're just a few minutes, it feels like a few days before Christmas, Leanne and I were talking. We said, why don't we just have a little online party tonight, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Let's
With
do
the
it. We need it, and I'm ready for it, and I can bring it.
I know you can. Well, you and I have done podcasts before, not just on this show, but our good friend of mine, and now good friend of yours, and mutual acquaintance Karen Holton, who's been on the show before. When she was on a previous network in Scotland, she had to go away, and she gave me the honor of hosting her show while she was away for a couple of weeks. And Leanne and I did it for 2 weeks in a row, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? We should just not even talk on the phone. We'll just save it for a
I
podcast.
didn't have time to talk on the phone today. Christmas every year does this
Oh,
to
yeah.
me. It just creeps up on me. I have so many things to do. Like, it's just insane what I have left to do. And it'll get done. And what doesn't get done means it was never meant to get done. Right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Let, let- um, I'll tell you about my day. It was joyful and interesting. I mean, I'll
Okay,
start with that.
let me pause you there just for a second. I forgot to remind people, if you're posting on Facebook and I don't see your comments, I'm not ignoring you. I believe the comments for my Facebook profile, sometimes they don't show up. So I want to apologize. That's why I encouraged you, if you're joining a few minutes late, to come on over to UFO Paranormal Radio on YouTube, or UFO Gods and Extraterrestrial. They're both for United Public Radio Network, or YouTube channels. I can see the comments there for sure. Sorry, Leanne, go ahead. Take it away.
Oh, no, that's fine. Um, so this morning I started listening to, it's one of these suggested YouTube videos. You know how
Mm-hmm.
those,
Yep.
of all things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of interesting things that usually come up, many which
Yeah.
I would never click on, but there are some
Mm-hmm.
that are really good. So this one was a playlist of music from the 60s and 70s. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's see
Mm-hmm.
what this one's about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the songs in that playlist would not have been one that I thought would have been put together as a mainstream 60s and 70s
Mm-hmm.
playlist. But when I was listening to it, several of the songs,
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
it was like the songs that bring forth like the energy of my dad,
Mm-hmm.
my mom, my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother, and I was like, "Hello, family is here." I was like,
Yeah.
where did this playlist come from?
Well,
And
nothing
even,
happens by accident, right?
no,
So
no,
maybe it was your
absolutely not.
family.
But one of the songs, okay, this is when it clicked in, was when one of the songs was "What a Wonderful World" by Louis
Mm-hmm.
Armstrong. I'm like, no, that's not from the 60s. What? And
Mm-mm.
then it was like, oh, but it's such a wonderful playlist. I was like, this was meant for me. This
Mm-hmm.
was wonderful. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was great. And then I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, I'm going to go to some other music. I found myself in such a state of bliss.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I have gone through some major clearing since this last lunar eclipse, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're
But
going to talk about what clearing is for people that don't know
yeah.
maybe what that means. But for you, I know that music really,
Hmm.
really speaks to you. For me, maybe not so much. It just depends. But we have you've got more similar taste in some music to the Dell, as we call him here.
Oh,
The
yeah.
my
Oh, yeah.
he's well sometimes co-host. He hosts the Delicious Recipe on Thursday nights. Not a cooking show, but yeah, you guys have a lot of similar '90s groups that you like. But
Yeah.
I know that music really speaks to you, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's actually all over the place. It can really be all over the place. And I just got the ding. I'm like, okay, yep.
Okay, so what you got to
And
remind people though, they won't know what the ding is
oh,
or the
sorry.
clearing, or some people
Okay.
will, but there's we got to remember we got like I think between 150 160 different countries watching
Thank
and all
you.
different walks of life and backgrounds. So I got to remind you because Leanne and I talk and there's no need to explain
Mhm.
anything. Kind of like with Dave too, right?
Oh,
When
yeah.
I'm talking with Dave. Go ahead, Leanne.
No, absolutely. Thank you for slowing me down. I
That's
need the
okay.
reminder.
You're excited.
um, but so over this last lunar eclipse, which I would say I'm usually not sensitive to the moon phases and the moon
Mm-hmm.
energy, but there are times where absolutely I cannot deny it. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had one of those. And so what? Let's see, it was the 4th. So it's been about 2 weeks. And
Right.
now I can see it for what it was. I really went through a clearing or a shift, meaning um, just that energy shifted, vibration shifted,
Some
and it
people,
just
I'm
felt
not
different.
trying to be devil's advocate here, but people won't understand, possibly some people, what vibration is. Like, right? So, just very quickly for people listening, vibration. So, what we're talking about here is energy. And everything on this planet is energy. One of the laws of the universe, if you will, and even of physics, is energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can be transferred from one place to another. Even at a microcellular level, we are all energy. Everything is, right? And we are affected, a lot of us, not always, but by the moon. And you know who made me see that really? Because and I'm sure you could probably say this yourself, but I know working nights as a nurse, I never had to look at the what phase of the moon was on. You knew
Oh,
all
oh yeah.
hell broke loose when it was. You'd go, is it a full moon? Oh, that explains
Okay.
everything. Oh,
Oh,
wait, I
remember,
got
I
one
write.
thing to add. One thing to add. So I was thinking, why does this happen? And it was the Dell that we were talking about this. It made perfect sense. He said, Laura, the moon affects everything, including the tides, water levels, and what have you, with the phases of the moon. He said,
Mhm,
we're 80%
mhm.
water, so how could we not be affected? Go ahead, hon.
And hormones. And
Hmm.
hormones. Yeah,
And
yeah.
hormones? What do you mean? The moon you
The
find
moon
affects?
affects feminine hormones. Hormones. I
Oh, it
mean, it's
can,
like
yeah. Hmm.
absolutely. And I've always heard that and kind of thought, well, okay. and and
Hmm.
and that's about it for me. But now here in the recent years, every so often I'll
Hmm.
catch one, and it's intense.
Hmm.
And so I can only imagine those people very sensitive all the time to that. Wow.
Some
But
people really are to energy, but I was going to say too, with vibration, I got on a tangent there about energy. Vibration is just about what kind of energy you as an individual, it could be a group, it could be a collective, are putting out there. And the higher your vibration, meaning
whew,
joy, happiness, gratefulness, all those high vibes, if you will, love, all those positive things. Those are called raising your vibration or having a higher vibration. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where you're going with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I can even say for myself, and I mean that just in the sense of maybe some things that I experience or have knowledge of that maybe
Mm-hmm.
others don't. Even for me, this was major because I normally am not aware of them to this level. I mean,
We
just
both were though. We were comparing this. Like you said this, and then
yeah,
I was wondering what was going on. And no, it wasn't menopause. So I don't know how I'm not at this age yet. Menopause, I know TMI, but still,
yeah,
we felt like we were burning up from the inside out, but in different phases of, if you will, the lunar eclipse and this moon cycle. And then I'm going
mhm,
to go ahead and say what you're going to say, Leanne, because I'm just going to mention Dave's comment too. And just so you know, with StreamYard, I'll highlight if people have made comments or questions for you too, so you can see them.
and cool. Which is yeah, I was reading that too. Yep,
Okay,
yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to read the
go
comments
ahead, and
too.
then I'll mention it because there'll be people that'll be listening, so
Yeah.
they won't get to see it.
Um, but so basically after that like playlist, I just went to like two other songs
Hmm.
that okay, I was in high school band, marching band and
Okay.
concert band.
Hmm.
Okay, so here it is again. These were actually well, one's an 80s song, one was a 1960s song.
Hmm.
Oh, and listening to him. I was in pure bliss. And
Hmm.
I mean, just like I was dancing and giggling and just like, and I actually was like, when was the last time or whenever have I felt like this? And it was like, I don't know. But it's
Hmm.
like, I mean, I just was, I could not
So maybe
stop
that's
moving.
a good place to talk about it. When I mentioned Dave's
Yeah.
comment, for those listening, just going back a few minutes, he said hormone combination of sun and the moon, or gold, which is the sun, um, mon, which is moon. Okay. Oh, hormone he's talking about. Yeah, because like I mentioned earlier, if you're just tuning in, Dave is an astrologist who's been a guest on the show before. But let's talk about that, Leanne, because collectively, you've got so much discord, fear. Like I literally cannot believe where I live. I forgot to mention I'm in Canada, and I live right smack dab in the middle of Canada. And the Dells started a newer job and really likes it. But you hear conversations with people,
Yeah.
and the level of fear, misinformation, and not only buying the Kool-Aid and drinking it, but completely immersing themselves in it. And it's leading to a lot of division. Never mind that Christmas is a very hard time of year for a lot of people. But now we've got everything else going on globally piled on top. So maybe this is a good place for us, like I said, to start talking about. Because I know when I first ventured down this spiritual path, I kept hearing, you've got to raise your vibration. You've got to raise your vibration. It's like, what the heck are they talking about? This is what we're talking about is the bliss, right? Like you said, for you, it's in music, dancing, laughing, right?
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easy. Okay, it's easier said than done sometimes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, because I'm thinking we can say, listen to music,
Mm-hmm.
read poetry, write poetry, listen, whatever, listen to the radio, go walk in nature.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be anything that you enjoy. At least it could be that. But it's more than that, and it just I think it takes time and practice, maybe for
Well, I
I could
always
say
say
it did
for,
for me. It did
well,
for me.
for you, yeah, everybody's an individual, but some of the things that I suggest to people when I'm working with them, just like we're going to get into some of the work that you do, um, is, a lot of people will, because I'm finding a lot of my readings are with people that are very stuck right now, not knowing what their life purpose is, why they're here, just really feeling stuck. So the first question I usually ask them is, what brings you joy? And then a lot of people will say, nothing brings me joy, depending, I guess, on how you look at the proverbial glass half full or half empty.
Mm,
And So then the next thing I do is I say, what did you used to love to do as a child? What brought you joy? What were your dreams as a child? And then when we get into that, or the other thing I look at is, what are you good at? Everybody's good at something, right?
Mhm.
My favorite go-to for people is, most people have a movie that they love, that they remember, that makes them laugh their butt off every time they watch it. Because laughing naturally raises your vibration, right? This is just quick fixes, though, because like you said, it took a long time. You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Okay, so here I'll share, and I had shared this with Lorilei a little earlier today, and she
Yeah.
doesn't know details, but one of my major shifts last
Okay.
night,
Hmm.
it happened last night, and then
Hmm.
after that happened, I was out watching something on the TV, and I was laughing so much, and I mean,
Hmm.
my husband kept looking at me like, "What? What
You
is
lost your
wrong with
mind?
you?" And I was just laughing, laughing, laughing so much. I went to bed. I slept. I slept so well.
Hmm.
And then, I had another round of it today of bliss. And it's like, but it's intense. It's intense. It's almost like comical. Like, this is intense.
So how
But
can other people get this? So, because we're having a party online here. What's some suggestions that we could
um,
talk about for people? Because as I started there, when Leanne and I are always like, as we get talking, then we're off on another tangent, then we're back to something all over. So we'll try and
yeah,
stay intact here, because I think we there's a bit of telepathy, and we speak each other's language. So there's a lot that doesn't
yeah.
need to be said. So we got to remember when we're talking here, because some people won't be able to get together with their families. A lot of people have lost their jobs. You know, trying to explain to small children, maybe there won't be Santa this year. There's a lot of things going on. So, what's your thoughts on that, Lee? And how do you think? And if you don't know, that's too okay too, because it's a complicated question. But how can
Mhm.
people start to find maybe a little bit of joy to help raise their vibration if they really are having a really difficult time with this holiday season coming up? And it's not just Christmas. There was Hanukkah, there's Kwanzaa, there's all kinds of celebrations at this time of year.
Well, like you said, that is a complicated question.
Hmm.
And the first thing that came was, you keep it simple.
Hmm.
And that almost sounds like, well, that's a simple thing to say to someone who's down on their luck, maybe not having many situations
Hmm.
that may transpire. But
Hmm.
it's really find what you enjoy and embrace that,
Hmm.
because that's where that can lead to more creativity. It leads
Hmm.
to openness more than getting stuck in a rut
Hmm.
and doing the same thing over and over. And again, I can speak from experience on that.
Hmm.
And passing some amount of time and not realizing I was doing the same thing and
Hmm.
stuck in a loop. But what came to me was, keep it simple, and whatever would bring you joy.
Hmm.
So don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. Maybe it's eating your favorite snacks. It's going out for a walk. Listening to music, coloring,
Hmm.
painting, drawing,
Hmm.
being with your pets. I can say as of late, I have really enjoyed my time with my animals,
Hmm.
and not just like a 2-minute pat them on the head. Okay, I got to go do something else. Like,
Hmm.
being very aware of, this is nice. I'm just going to sit right here. I'm just going to, yeah, I mean, why? I don't have anywhere else I need to be right now. Let me just really sit here
Hmm.
and pet my dog and really enjoy it. And it was, I mean, that's something new for me. So that was a new positive change for me.
Hmm. No, but I think there's a lot that you said there. And I think what happens, which I think can really, like you said, keep it simple. Because think about it, all the Christmases gone past, unless there was this incredible, incredible gift that you've been wanting for years or whatever it may be, what's the things we mostly remember about holidays together? It's, hey, Zach, welcome. We're just talking about how to increase maybe the joy level here, or coping with the holiday season.
Mhm.
Anyways, what I was saying was, what we most remember is the times that we spent with the people who brought us joy. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's maybe that crazy aunt you see once a year, uncle that, you try to spend as little time as possible, whatever that may be. But, one of the best gifts I think we can give to people is ourselves and love. And like just what you said about your beloved puppies, and I know you got two of them, is I don't have anywhere else to be. Not only are you giving them love, but look what they're giving you in return.
Mhm.
So, whether it's the gift of understanding, the gift of forgiveness, the gift of listening, anything like that, because really all those other things are just material. And as children, little children, that's difficult if you're having a very difficult time financially. But you know what? There's lots of things you can make. Um,
Yeah.
there's, coupon books even if you don't have the money, but your time. Your time is so important to young children, especially maybe you were always working, maybe you're out of a job. Really getting creative, or, baking together, whatever that may be, but really getting creative. But it's all about, I think, giving your time and giving love, and the togetherness of it for the people that you want to spend time with, for the people maybe you can't avoid, is, like I said, the gift of patience, the gift of forgiveness, maybe the gift of listening to that story they've told you for the hundredth time. But I think it's all in the way that we look at gift giving, if you will, versus it all being material, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was thinking the same thing you were, and I
Hmm.
thought, well, I don't know how materialistic so materialistic may some people may be. And I just mean like how
Hmm.
much they really are into this and about spending or absolutely and not about
Hmm.
spending a dime or
Hmm.
whatever. But I have to admit, I do like a few gifts,
Hmm.
a couple, but it's not all about the gift giving. It's not about I need 24 gifts every year.
I usually get
Um,
nothing. I get
yeah,
nothing. Maybe my son, if he has the money, my eldest, as he's
yeah.
gotten older, but I usually get nothing. Do you know what I do? Is, and I'm a very good shopper, is, before Christmas, about a month or two, things that I see that I like. I don't go out and, go hog wild there, but if there's little things like, I love the
Mhm.
TV show Supernatural. I found a Supernatural calendar. Well, it's tucked away, and I'll wrap it up, and it's my gift to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, yeah, exactly. And
Hmm.
I mean, like, well, okay, I normally end up I buy myself something because
Hi,
yeah,
Debbie.
I don't do
Welcome.
a lot of gift exchanging.
Because
So
you get what you want too, right? Like I didn't tell
absolutely.
my son.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say
Mm,
quickly, I didn't tell my son what I wanted for Christmas, but I made it clear to him, if you're going to spend money, please don't spend a lot. But you know what? I love this company. I do, Sophie and Toffee.
mhm.
It's
Yeah.
um, a silicone mold and resin. You don't have to buy me anything, but even a gift certificate or Amazon, or then you just go out and get what you like, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Hmm.
And as a matter of fact, I told my aunt and uncle, the first ones who gave me my first gift card
Aw.
when I was in seventh or eighth grade. Yeah, it dates me.
Hmm.
And I just told them recently, like, I remember when you gave me that gift card that I was like, so excited. And I'm like, and then it was when you go spend it and you
Yes.
get what you want. So it's like, to me, it's like two gifts because you
Yes.
got it. And then you get to go get what you want with it.
Plus, after
And
Christmas, all the sales.
yeah, actually, let's see. Did I tell her that it was last Christmas or in March?
Hmm.
But anyway, I told her, and then she was like pecking my uncle, like, "Hey, listen to this." So I told him that again, and I thought, I love gift cards.
Mhm. I do too.
I love the thought of it because I'm
Mhm.
like, it's genius.
Mhm.
Let them spend the money how
Some
they want
people
to.
don't like them. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know why you do, but there's this service even now I've seen over the last couple of years. Say you do get a bunch of gift cards and you don't want them, you don't shop at that
Oh,
store, you can trade them
yeah.
in for cash. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. Hmm.
Yeah, I do too. Because, I mean, okay, now I can see why some people don't like gift cards because it may seem impersonal, but um, I'm not very offended by that. I'm not.
Mm-mm.
Um, I mean, I do love to gift give because I think either I give things that are useful,
Hmm.
and I mean that I think you would really like and enjoy, or it's practical.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just kind of, I'm a
That's what
Capricorn.
Zach said. The best gifts are the stuff I could use, like clothes and gift cards. I don't like expensive, fancy gifts. Now, what I like to do is I listen throughout the year, and then
Mhm.
I tuck that away in my proverbial back shelf, as I call it. Like, for example, my son-in-law, and he doesn't like anybody to spend money on him or buy gifts. Actually, my eldest son apparently gave my son-in-law the job of buying for me because we have a lot of the same likes. We both love skulls. We love Halloween. We're
Mm.
both very crafty and artsy and stuff like that. So Sam has the job. But anyways, I didn't know what to get him, and I again he would never be rude, but know he really doesn't like anybody to spend money. But he was over at my house, probably about in the summertime, and he saw some of my special paintbrushes I have, and he said, "Oh, I really like those. I love those. I would love some of those." But he was talking about for himself to go out and get them. So what did I do? I was out shopping and I picked them up,
Mhm.
so I'll tuck them in his stocking. Or, Debbie, you said I'm making homemade gifts this year.
Hey,
Homemade Irish
Debbie.
cream, I love it. And homemade chocolate bark for my family, love it. And a few
No,
friends
I love
coming
that. Yeah,
over.
that's
Dawn.
great. I mean, what Debbie said, see, that reminds me of my childhood. We
Hmm.
did a lot of homemade or half homemade and baked goods and stuff. We
Hmm.
did that.
Well, that's
Oh,
what
I
it
love
said.
that.
Donnie makes mini log cabins with lights inside. They're beautiful. And I love that because you know what I did this year? I have a machine called a Cricut. And I have been wanting to learn how to use it. I can see why people run out and buy them. And then they go, oh my God, I need to sell this. I have no clue how to use it. It's taken me a long time to learn how to use the software. So for everybody this year, everything's been personalized, or my
Mm,
eldest asked me to make a gift. I haven't even talked to you about this, Liam. For his old boss and her sister, they're still really good friends of his, and they lost their mom this year.
mm,
And 2 or 3 years ago, they had lost their dad. So I made these memorial bracelets with pictures of themselves with their dad. So my son sent me a picture of the one woman with her mom, and then her sister was with a different picture with her mom.
yeah.
But because I make resin now, with it's like that liquid that turns to a plastic, I made the coolest keychains. And with my Cricut, for those that don't know what a Cricut is, it will cut anything known to God. So you program it into the computer, and well, not anything, I guess, but you can make your own stickers. You can make it cuts fabric, it cuts vinyl. I mean, the options are endless. So I made keychains with Cricut on them, then put resin over top, and they're going to turn out really good when they're done. I'll take some pictures and post them. But that's the whole thing, the gift of your time, getting
Yeah.
creative. Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I've always had friends where we get together and have a meal. That's it.
Hmm.
That's Christmas. I'm like,
Hmm.
perfect. Like
Yeah.
good friend. I'd always say good friends or good food, good drink, good company. There.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And as a matter of fact, my husband and I are actually going to go to our favorite um, beer bar.
I love it.
I
I love
can't
it.
wait because we did this like no, not last year, but the year before, and I was
Hmm.
like, yeah, that was the last grand outing for a while.
Hmm.
But anyway, I'm like, oh, I'm so looking forward to it because
Hmm.
I look at it as fruitcake and a beer in
Hmm.
liquid form. I always find one and I love it.
Hmm.
But it's not only beer, it reminds me of my grandmother because she made homemade fruitcake. I
Oh.
mean, it's like, I love this place. There's so much entangled there. There's so
Mhm.
much entanglement, no joke.
But it's
Yeah.
finding the joy in the memories, or like when we started the
Oh, yeah.
podcast, so you were talking about this
Yeah.
playlist that just popped up, and
Yeah.
it was like it was made just for you. It had so many
Yes.
things that brought memories of your parents and your
Yeah.
grandmothers, and
Yeah.
you know, that's what I think life is about. And I love the message that you came out with there, and I believe, Spirit helped along with that, was keep it simple.
Mhm.
And like Debbie, what a beautiful thing. That's a gift of your time. It's delicious. And you know what? And again, though, the one thing I will say sometimes I find is if people don't make anything by hand, they don't always appreciate, and I'm not talking so much about food, everybody appreciates food. But when you're making something by hand, like maybe a hand
Mm.
knitted sweater, or mittens, or
Mm.
or slippers, or whatever, right? Sometimes
Mm.
people don't always appreciate it. I was
Mm.
about to say for my son and son-in-law, I don't believe they'll be listening, and if you are, you little monkeys, you shouldn't be. You never know, they might be. But I used my machine this year to design. I won't give too much away just in case they do catch a little bit of this. Um, but they have their names on them, and it
There.
was an idea. I never copy people, but it was an idea I came up with. They love The Nightmare Before Christmas, so I got this big bin you can use in the summertime, filled up with ice and cold drinks. I made a sticker with Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas to go in the front. It goes, oh my, what do we have here? But in the basket, it's all matching, let's just say, movie watching things. So movie watching blankies, movie watching jammies, personalized popcorn containers, a whole bunch in the basket. And then my favorite part, I have to tell you, I think you've seen the pictures, Leanne. They're socks. And what I put on the bottom, if you're a Harry Potter fan, it says, Master has given Dobby a sock. And on the other side, it says, Dobby is free. And you wear it, it goes on the bottom of your socks. So, like, just little ideas like that. That's what I'm saying, getting really
Mm.
creative. You don't have to make things, but if you know the person you're buying for is
Yeah.
really thinking, right?
Oh, I love that because, again, here's my practicality of being a
Look who's
Capricorn.
reminding me that I have to make him a shirt. Speaking, we've already talked about you, the Dell. He goes because he loves One Piece, and I told him I'm going to make him a shirt, but he's kind of got moved down the rungs of the ladder because I've been making so many other things. Sorry, Leanne.
No, no, that's fine. Oh, anyway, I forgot what I was saying, but oh my gosh,
We were
totally
talking
lost.
about the thought and the time of putting in like a gift that makes it personal for a person. I know it'll come to you. Sorry.
Yeah. Uh, all right. Okay. Yeah. Well, here I'll add to the cricket. I will add
Hmm.
this. My sister would use it to. She would go and buy like
I
the
forgot your
color.
sister's got one. Hmm.
Yeah, the colored crafting paper
Hmm.
for like scrapbooking. You know, they
Scrapbooking,
have all
yeah.
that
Hmm.
colorful stuff,
Yep.
and she'll cut out ornaments
Hmm.
and she'll put them on the tree to fill
Hmm.
in, or she'll hang them from the ceiling. Like she'll put like
Oh.
sparkly, like
Hmm.
crystals and different kinds of stars and all that stuff like that. She does all kinds of. She's very artsy,
Hmm.
crafty stuff, but oh yes, practical. That's I was saying, me being practical,
Hmm.
being Capricorn. I like a few years, like my mom would say, "What do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, I need a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Hmm.
And she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, think
Hmm.
about it. I can use it all year long. I could really use it."
Hmm.
And honestly, I do. I mean, like, I really like that
Hmm.
because it's useful.
Hmm.
And some things are higher price. So if someone can help
Yeah.
you with that,
And every
perhaps
time
if
you
that,
use it, you'll think of them.
yeah, yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, um, yeah, absolutely. So,
Hmm.
um, I like practical stuff,
Hmm. Yeah, but
but
that's what I guess I'm saying is, and talking about this, getting a little bit more creative about this, because like I said, with what's going on here, in the world collectively, and it's kind of difficult at this, like I said, for a lot of people at this time of year regularly. And, now that we've got this added stuff on top of it, and there's a lot of division, a lot of arguing, a lot of whatever. And it reminds me, I've said it many times on this show, and it came to me in the throes of my youngest when he was very young and having a 3 hour meltdown. But I
Mhm.
think it's so important, and I share it often. And I think now, knowing what I know, it probably was coming from spirit was, if it doesn't make any difference 10 years from now, let alone 10 minutes from now, let it go and pick your battles. Because a lot of these things that people are fighting about, it really doesn't matter. Like 10 years from now, we're all still here 10 years from now. Um, are you even going to remember what you had that rift or that fight about in, say, this
Yeah,
time
that
period, right?
oh yeah, that's an important lesson, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a newer, more recent lesson for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so. If I can just stop and go, does this even matter?
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like, no, really, it doesn't. Move along.
Mm-hmm.
Just move along then. But um, oh, I was going to think of another big lesson, but lost again. All right, it'll circle back around.
Okay, so Dave says Capricorn and Aquarius also really like machines because Saturn rules both
Yeah,
signs.
machine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. We very much can work ourselves to death.
I don't mind something practical though, but
Mhm.
you know what? I got to the point where, like I said, I'm going to bring up Sophie and Toffee again with resin. I love doing resin. I love doing other stuff too, but I kept looking at this box and looking at this box for years, and then finally I just decided, I'm going to treat myself one time a month, and it comes, and not everybody can do that. I understand that it's not exorbitantly expensive,
Yeah.
and I can repurpose and use whatever's in there all the time. They're reusable, so it's not like I use it once and throw it away. But the whole point is, I think, we're talking about energy. I didn't know where our conversation was going to go. I always leave it up to spirit, but I
Yeah.
think it's so good to be good to yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you're, and it doesn't have to be money. Maybe you've been wanting to lose weight. Maybe you've been wanting to exercise more. Maybe whatever that may be, but being really good to yourself and gratitude. Because I think we forget that I've met so many people that'll say, I have nothing to be grateful for.
Mm,
Did you wake up this morning? Were you able to have a cup of coffee or whatever you like to
yeah.
drink in the morning? Do you have a roof over your head? Were you able to sleep on a bed? There's many things but the more you start counting, you're not counting, I'm thinking counting your blessings, but being thankful for the things in your life, the more it's almost like the universe brings you, right?
It is, but I was going
Mm-hmm.
to say, it's difficult when you're in that place. But when you get to that point where the ship starts turning around, then the universe will really help
Mm-hmm.
move you very quickly in the
I
other
I
direction.
think it's so important. I can tell you from speaking from experience 2 years ago, just after Christmas, and I was deathly ill over Christmas. I lost my house. Don't miss it. Better things were on the horizon, and they are. But my whole point is, I've been there. I've been there. You don't know where you're going to live. You don't know what's going to happen. Got no money after Christmas or whatever it may be. I have been there, and I will tell you the things that got me through it. Kindness of people around us, pulling together with the people that you love, and whether that's friends or the people that spouse, common
Hmm.
law, whatever it may be, whomever is around and is supportive and has your back. And then really, really being grateful for the little things and starting there, because otherwise it's pretty easy to get sucked down in that emotion.
Yeah, yeah.
That was interesting, that noise. Did you hear that?
Well, I cleared my throat. That was probably
No,
me.
no, it sounded like a man's voice.
No.
Anybody else hear that?
Well, that's funny because I was going to say I
Hmm.
can tell you a story about my first revelation, my first like
Okay.
shift I had,
Hmm.
and this was December 15th when this one happened.
Hmm.
Um, and I was sitting here actually. This is my desk. So I was sitting here, and I'll set the stage, give you a little background. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so my mother-in-law, um, she made a dessert I've never had before, and she said
Mm-hmm.
this dessert is only made in the country and the neighboring country, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other place
Mm-hmm.
that this is made. And I'm like, oh, okay. So in my mind, I was thinking, I wonder what it tastes like. It probably tastes similar to this. And so I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I know I'll like it. Okay. And was really looking forward to it. So she makes it, and I'm eating it. And the first thought was, I did not think I could love sticky rice anymore than I already do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it made me laugh, like,
Mm-hmm.
what a thought to have. But it was like this, oh, this was so good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so delicious
Mm-hmm.
and so fragrant. Like I can't do it justice. Just
Mm-hmm.
delicious, absolutely delicious. And then I thought, I think my mom and dad would have loved this dessert.
Mm-hmm.
And then it made me think about my mom and dad. And I thought, I think my mom and dad would have really liked this family, meaning
Mm-hmm.
my husband's family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like a nice, like warm thought about all of that. And then I thought about how would I describe this to my mom, this dessert.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about how I would describe it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a little emotional. I
Mm-hmm.
did. But I was like, it was beautiful. It was nice. I thought, I'm so glad I got to experience that. That was just
Mm-hmm.
really nice. Whatever that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I had to kind of clear my throat, I could hear my dad say, you would never know that you were born with hyaline membrane disease because today, like you surely use your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and he did say that to me as a child, but I
Mm-hmm.
heard him say that to me that night. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, and it cleared my throat chakra. It's like, oh man. But it was like lung and throat and lung and throat. It was like both. It was both. It was both. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
heart and throat, but it was like, wow, wow,
So
because
are
of
you
the dessert. Because
because
of
of
the
a
dessert.
dessert? Because I think you brought up when you said about the shift is what we're talking about chakras. We have energy centers in our bodies for those of us that may not know that. And no, they're not visible. And sometimes we get blockages in those chakras. And I believe that as human beings, as everything is, we're meant to be in balance and we're meant to run energy. So, for any blockages that you may have had there, is what you're saying, it shifted and cleared for you. And it was very emotional, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
but
there's
very
nothing wrong with that because
no.
obviously that
Mm-hmm.
emotion needs to be expressed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Otherwise, you
Oh yeah.
wouldn't. Hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was like, oh my gosh, the ugly cry is coming on. And then it's like, you know what? Come on, just
Just do it.
it has to
Just
come
let's get it
out.
over
Yeah,
and
it has
done with.
to come out.
I
It
wanted
has
to
to come out.
mention
Yeah.
I wanted to mention this because I
Mhm.
think it goes kind of hand in hand a little bit with what you're talking about. Zach Mann says the downside about the holidays, especially this year for me, is thinking about the people that are no longer with us. The first Christmas after loved ones who passed are always the hardest. Now, again, this has just been my experience, Zach, and
Mhm.
again, all of us would prefer to have the people that we love in physical form with us.
Yeah.
But we are infinite, we are immortal, we go on forever. So, working as a medium, I can tell you that all those that we love and that are no longer with us, they are there for every celebration, every holiday, when a baby is born into the family, when there's a wedding, even a barbecue, whatever it may be, when a family member is having a difficult time, they're there. Um, and then you get people saying, well, does that mean they didn't cross over? Does that mean they didn't go, as I call it, back home? No, but we're able to be infinitely in so many other places when we really reach our true self, if you will, our higher dimensional self, 5D and above. That Leanne and I have had many conversations. That could be a whole different show, right, Leanne?
I'm so wanting to say,
Go
yeah.
ahead, say what you want to say.
Okay, so today, this is what came to me.
Hmm.
This thought came to me. We are all multidimensional beings. We exist in more than one place,
Hmm.
always.
Hmm.
So now think about that. I mean, so if you are here, you here
Hmm.
now on Earth are asking for help
Hmm.
from your higher self.
Yes, yes.
Well, you somewhere else connected to your higher self has a responsibility to help you because it's you.
Ooh, I never thought of that. Hmm.
Doesn't that hit you right there? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Hmm.
Because now you know. You don't have to think and maybe, well, okay, all right, I can ask and yeah, okay, they get to me. So you are your own hero, really. You are who
Oh, I
you're
love
waiting for.
that.
You are who you're waiting for.
Hmm.
Um, but you are obligated to help you now.
Hmm.
So there's your support. There's your answer. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, that's why the answers are. That's why the answer's there before you ask the question.
Yep. Hmm.
Ooh,
Well, because you're
woo.
connected to your higher self at all times.
Yeah,
Some people call it the
yeah,
subconscious or,
right.
whatever you want to call it. But that's your higher self. And believe it or not, the higher self always knows the answer. So does your body.
Yeah,
Believe it or not, your body always knows the
yeah.
answer. If
Mm.
and you and I've talked about meditation many times, never mind get Leanne talking about some of the crystal experiences she's had with meditations. But and we will, because like I said, I really do call her the crystal wizard.
That's
And oh,
here's
selenite.
what's with me tonight.
My selenites, I think my selenites just, it's, well, just off camera. All my crystals are over there. I bought some new ones. I didn't get a chance to show you. They're
Mm,
beautiful. Maybe I'll pull them out and we'll
yeah.
talk a bit about that. Because I was
Okay.
surprised that some people don't know what crystals are. Like that, I had somebody recently very on the ball about what's going on in the world. And as we got talking, I forget why they were asking about EMF protection. And
Mm,
I was saying, from my experience, now Leanne will probably know 20,000 different crystals for this. No, where did I put it? It should be here. Um, God, my brain's not working either, Leanne. Oh, here it is. Shungite
yes.
for your
Yep.
phone, right? And she goes, do crystals really work? I said, what? Do crystals really work? And so I suggested one of the metaphysical stores in our city to go to. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. That's a good sign. And she went into the store, and I guess as she started picking up some of the pretty stones, she started realizing the power that these little stones have. And then she ended up buying her sister a rhodonite, which is, that beautiful pink. Um, she bought her a crystal bracelet. She's asked me a couple of times, but what else came out of that? And Leanne and I need to talk about this in the new year because we were trying to get it done before Christmas. That hasn't happened, but we're going to try and put together a master class for people that are newly awakened. The whole
Mhm,
bunch of people we know that it's kind of their field of expertise to be able to talk about it. And another time we'll talk about it on the show, but that's what we're looking at.
mhm, mhm.
Anyways, we got talking and I said something about asking your guides or your angels. She goes, guides? What are guides? And I said, oh, well, I said, we all have spirit guides and angels. And I said, whether you believe in them, doesn't matter. They believe in you. They're there from the minute you're born to the minute you transition, as I call it,
Mhm,
back home.
mhm.
And she said, oh, well, I've had these two people around me my whole life. She goes, they actually saved my life. Now, when I say people, she said, they're not people. They're I can feel them. I can almost like I can hear them. And for those that think maybe that sounds crazy, but she got into the story about how her life was saved. And I said,
Mm,
yes, I would venture to say
mm,
those are probably your guides.
mhm.
Oh, Dell wants to get off this spirituality chat. He goes, how many Christmas trees did Leanne set up? He wants to know.
Okay, thank you for the question, Dell. So, so
Deep
this
question.
year,
I'm right here.
this
I'm grabbing my
year,
crystals. Go ahead.
okay. So this year, I only have these three that you see. um, Last year I had five, and you
Did
know
you have
what?
five?
I had five, and
Wow.
I loved it. I just loved it. It was like, oh, this is so much fun, and it was just because of little magical lights and the
Hmm.
trees. Really, that's it. I mean, it's like the greenery, the lights, and the over the top decorations. I mean, I really like. I, I like sparkly decorations and stuff.
So do I. Did you see what Debbie
Gold,
said?
silver, shiny, diamonds. Well, all that.
Sorry, I was just going to ask this quickly. Debbie wrote, Dell had to poo poo the woo woo. Uh,
Yeah.
well, Christmas
Well,
is
let,
the
let me
time
just
to.
say this.
Oh, go ahead.
If I can, let me add to the last person or your last thing about guides. Who are my
Hmm.
guides or
Hmm.
spirit guides? Or honestly, until as of late, I don't, I don't I don't
Hmm.
hear advice. I don't communicate in that way. So, I mean, no, I understand why people think, what do you mean? Or how do you do it? Or how do you
Hmm.
learn to do it? It's like, good question.
Hmm.
And in my experience, it is patience,
Hmm.
meditation,
Hmm.
and then showing up and being ready.
Hmm.
And what I mean by showing up is doing something on some kind of consistent basis,
Hmm.
meditation or well, to me it would be that mantras, breath work.
Now,
Um,
for me, and we all have different ways that we teach people. That's why it's good to work with different mentors. But
Absolutely, yeah.
I really try to keep it simple. So yeah, I think that meditation is a great thing for anybody. It's akin
Mhm,
15 minutes of meditation to between an hour and a half of sleep. CEOs do it of companies, big companies, professional athletes before a game, what have you. But when you're able to kind of quiet that mind, that's when you can hear that inner guidance, whether
mhm,
you believe it's
mhm,
from your higher self or whatever.
mhm,
But I've always suggested, now again, this is just my interpretation, but when you're laying there at night saying you've got a really, really awful, awful problem, and you're tossing and turning and you can't sleep, you can't sleep, you can't sleep, you don't know what you're going to do, all of a sudden we hear our inner voice that gives us this stroke of genius. It's the solution, it's the way out. Why didn't I think of that before? To me, that is either your guides or your higher self. And it's getting used to or tuning into that voice, if you will, because it speaks a little differently. Not that you're hearing voices, we all have inner mind chatter, we all speak to ourselves, but it's loving. It's with a little bit more less chatter, if you will. Maybe the wording's a little bit different, and it's always meant for your highest good and in love. So just
Well,
go
well,
ahead.
the other thing I was going to say is, like I can tell you, I don't hear, a voice
Yeah,
or
and we've
something, but
talked about this, but we're different. So here's two different people. We could probably get a room full of 10 different
right,
people
so
doing
right,
different
so
things.
that's what I was going to say was, I don't get the go do this or consider this. It's just like these nudgings or these thoughts. I mean, it's like these thoughts are kind of dropped in.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
mine is not mine's not the voice that I hear. It's oh, just kind of,
Hmm.
oh yes,
Hmm.
just or over time, like it's not even sometimes instantaneous. It's just, oh yeah, and then it kind of leads me. slowly into a certain direction.
Hmm.
But that to me is still my inner guidance. That's
Yeah,
what that is, even though
we
it's
all
not
have
a,
it.
a voice. It's not a voice.
Correct.
But occasionally I do get a very direct statement.
Hmm.
So as of late, but before that, no, never, 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 never. So, it can change and everybody's different. Absolutely.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. We could have 10 different people. That's why it's good to talk with different people when you're first learning how to do this. And we all have that question. Who are my guides? What are their names? What are my angels? How am I going to hear them? So you got to try on a few things, sort of a different fit and see how it feels. But I have to mention this conversation in the chat. So those of you may not understand, Zach knows what this means. Get back in your cage, Dell. So back in the day, when Joe Montaldo, I usually remember to give him a shout out. I'm sorry, Joe. He's the owner of UPRN. He used to produce us. Now we produce our own shows.
Right.
So we still do host chats, usually paranormal on Mondays and then the central list on Fridays. With the holiday season, we've kind of dropped off with that. But Joe's big thing was because he has a lot of Canadian women hosts on his network, including myself, that he
Mhm.
used to tell everybody that Canadian women beat their men and they keep them in cages. And it was a big joke, okay? So I thought if you can't beat him, we'll join him. So to embrace it, and I think Zach's seen it, I took one of my graphic programs and I made Dell a cage, and it had a TV, and then it had a plasma whip on the wall to make him behave. So that was a big joke for the longest time, pulling out the plasma whip. And Dell loves Labatt's blue beer. It's Canadian, so
Yeah.
it was just out of his reach. So if he reached for the cage, he couldn't reach it. The same thing as the TV remote, and that was the cage. Okay. So I'm gonna add Yeah, so I'm
Sorry.
going to add this. So, what did he say? Oh, I'm trying to read the comments because Dell said something about his cage. I'm trying to see where it is. Sorry, I'm trying to see where he put this in here. Oh, my cage has a TV, internet, and beer. And it does. So that's what the cage comment was. Dell, get back in the cage. So we used to tell him that all the time. Dell, get back in your cage. So, and then we've got Debbie and Zachman chatting here. Both of them are in warm climates, as for yourself too. So,
Yeah, it's not too warm tonight though, but
no, is it chilly?
yeah, it's gonna be down to 37
Oh,
tonight.
that is chilly for down there.
Yeah, this
Wow.
week. Let's see, the Christmas Eve we're gonna be in the 70s. Woo!
Remind that, yeah, rub it in. Actually, we've had a beautiful winter. And for those, we have to remind them, especially if Dell and I do his show together. No, we don't live in the Arctic. We don't have a pet penguin or polar bears. We don't live in igloos. We don't drink maple syrup. We don't say A after every single word. You have to know how to do it properly if you're going to imitate a Canadian. Anyways, we live about 6 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we were. If you're coming from out west in Canada, you got to come through our city, Thunder Bay. Coming from the east, you got to come through if you're going to the other side of Canada, or you're going to go into southern Ontario and you're passing through. So,
Mm.
hmm so I was actually outside. Not today; it was pretty chilly. But last week we had rain and I was just in a shirt like this outside. So it has been beautiful. I can't complain. Hmm.
Well, let's see. Tomorrow's high is going to be 45.
45. Well,
Yeah,
Zach says I
45.
love Arizona winters during the day, 70s and cool. Love it. Debbie's
Yeah.
in Florida. I know she is.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah.
hmm.
Yeah, anyway, you know what though? I love the climate here. We have four distinct seasons, but some winters we have longer, warmer
Hmm.
days in a row.
Hmm.
I'm not going to complain because I certainly don't want 6 months of cold weather.
Yeah, well, we get that. Well, we're actually, even though I'm in Canada, we're broadcasting out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and so There's a lot of people in southern US tonight, except for the Dell. He's camped out on the couch. I'm surprised he's watching because sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. I did. Now get ready, Dell. We're going back to the woo woo for a sec. I was going to show you my crystals. This is one, Kathy Bilski. She's actually going to be, she's a host on,
Mm,
as I drop it, Friday night. She has a show called Quantum Leap on UPRN
mhm,
at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Anyways, she has a really big event that she's putting on Christmas Eve. It's a World Enlightenment, and I have it on my Facebook page. You can look it up. Uh, it's from 5 to 6 p.m., I believe, Eastern. I'll have to check the time. It's only for an hour, but
mhm.
she gives you a whole list of um, it's not really chanting, but I guess it is. It's like almost like affirmations for world peace and to help heal what's going on with the world. So she's actually going to be on Dell's show on this Thursday on
Mm.
the delicious recipe. Her and I are friends, and they've helped her out with a few things. She owns a crystal shop. Get ready for it in Hawaii. She does dolphin therapy. She does all kinds of stuff. She's fellow light worker. Anyways, she didn't have to, but she insisted. So she sent me. She does resin. So this has multiple crystals. She has
Mm,
this ash from India of Sai Baba that she puts in here. And
mhm.
then it's got a quartz. So you can use it as a deep tissue massage or what have you. So I thought I'd pull that out and give Kathy a little plug because the more people
Very
we
good.
have there, collectively the energy focused all on one thing could really make a difference, right?
You know what? One more thing I'm going to say
Mm-hmm.
that's becoming more and more. I mean, you and I've talked about this, and I mean this statement has been thrown around,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm now really getting into the a good sense or a deeper sense of it, which is
Mm-hmm.
it,
Excuse me.
each one of us have a piece that the other does not. So it takes
Yeah.
all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is if you think, well, what can I do or whatever, if I want to make a change or do something big, it may not have to be big, but it's just you being grateful, you
Mm-hmm.
be finding joy, you being creative, you
Mm-hmm.
supporting other people, you supporting your family.
Mm-hmm.
It's your intention, basically, doing everything in a good, positive way and meaning
Mm-hmm.
it, believing in it. Yeah.
I
And
agree.
each one of us has something, like I said, that maybe that the other one does not. For example, you're talking about your friend. I'm sorry, what was her first name again? The
Kathy?
one,
Kathy?
Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy. So she works with crystals. I work
Mm-hmm.
with crystals, and we probably do it in very different ways.
Absolutely.
But it's really cool to see how people do things in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you learn, and that's how you
Girl.
know, almost like discernment. Like, no, I don't know that I like that. I don't do that. Or, you lean more towards another way to do something. But nonetheless, it teaches you, or there's something to learn from it.
No, I have to agree with you. And some days when we all have crappy days, it's good to surround yourself with people that can uplift you. If you're having a down day, we all do. To remind us, but we are all here for a reason. None of us are here by accident. I love what you said, Leanne, about that. We all have maybe somebody else has that piece of the global
Yeah.
puzzle, if you will, to add.
Mm,
Or I've heard people say, "Well, what can I do? I'm just one person." One person can make a huge difference. And the other part is
and you know what? I'm so, I have to say this. Yes, each one of us can make a huge difference, and especially when we band together and we find people of like-minded, band
mastermind.
together, whatever that is. And I
Hmm.
mean that in this day, whatever that means, that you find ways to make positive change that you want to see in the world.
Hmm. No, I agree. My friend Augie Nost actually does the mastermind every Sunday and has people from all over the world that get together and focus on various things, whether it might be abundance or healing, whether that's for self, or it could be for others, it could be for the world, it could be for anything like that. So you're right about like-minded people. And then the other thing is, excuse me, I was watching a podcast. I think I sent it to you, Leanne. It was called The Victim's Voice. Now, it doesn't, I'm not so much focusing on what the topic was, but this girl, through unfortunate circumstances, is very seriously developed some complications. And her family didn't believe her. They all thought that she's lying. She used to abuse alcohol and drugs, and she admitted in this podcast that she actually wasn't a very nice person. But she's been clean and sober for almost 5 years and what have you. But the whole point is, even though she's struggling to get answers in the medical community from people around her, she's found, she said, her own family, meaning people that not necessarily through blood, but through similar circumstances, are supporting one another. But it was what she had to say. And she said, maybe this is what my purpose is here. She goes, I just want to be a light. She goes, I want to be able to help other people. I want to be able to, spread that light, not hatred, not anger, depression. And again, she wasn't pointing a finger at anybody, but what she was saying is we're all here for a reason. And I think that's so important to remember because, again, a lot of people think we're here by accident. And, you meet people that I think especially with working in palliative care, and you've worked in the health field yourself, Leanne,
Yeah.
and you meet people that have done maybe the same job their whole life. They did everything that was expected of them, what have you, and then maybe they're, God forbid, they're going to be passing away in the next few months with a terminal illness, and the regrets those people have because they just believed they were just supposed to be here and do whatever, never follow their dreams, never, put themselves first. They, whatever it may be. And it's so important, I think, to realize that, again, I'm going to say we're immortal and, we're just a soul, if you will, right now having a human experience in this body that we have, but this body is not who we are. And I don't know. I mean, there may be some people hearing this that will never believe it, but it is true. What's your thoughts on that, Leanne? Excuse me.
I absolutely, completely spaced out that last couple of sentences.
Did you? I was boring you.
No. I actually.
I'm teasing
No.
you. I'm teasing you. What were you thinking about? How about that? What were you thinking about then? If you can share it.
Well, now you make me giggle it away. No, I was like, I'm listening, but all of a sudden I kind of got, well, could I really say that? And then I was like, well, I could, but not really. And then I'm like,
You can
I'm
say
sorry,
whatever
no.
you want. You could say whatever you want. So.
Oh my goodness. I would have to. Okay, repeat your question, please.
I just said we're a soul or spirit, if you will, having a human
yes.
experience that basically this body that we see is not who we are.
No,
I said, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And sorry, I obviously was
sorry
in another dimension with you.
I should tell you guys when Leanne and I get on the phone, okay, we're not having a 5-hour conversation today, and then we blink and it's like 5 hours later.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you. And it's just more and more evident. One thing that I keep thinking here of lately is time. Time is a vast present moment. It's just one present moment. And I keep coming back to that. And I'm like, it can't be wrong. I keep having this circular thought about it. And then I find little more other bits that kind of support it. But my point being that, yes, that tells me I'm in more than one place. right now. I'm not completely just here in this body any longer as I used to feel that I was only here in this body only.
Well, I
And
think
it's just like I'm having more and more experiences and just realizations of it. And your whole soul does not fit in this physical body. This is
mm-mm,
just one facet, one sliver, as I like to say, one tiny
mm-hmm.
bit, one fragment. There's so much more to your soul than this human body.
Well, I think it's been spirit plus many mentors I've worked with too. But time, as they say, across the veil, it it's all happening at the same time, the past, present, and the future. So it's so hard because at least once you start, and again, I'm going to explain it this way, that it's like looking in a mirror and seeing another mirror in the mirror and another mirror and a mirror and a mirror and a mirror. Like it just goes on infinitely, you know what I mean? But it's complicated is what I'm saying when it comes to time, trying to figure it out when you try and unravel it, because it's hard to
Think
wrap
of
your
it as
mind.
water. Think of it
Mm,
as water.
as water.
Look onto the surface of water and just look at the reflection, but look at the ripple. That is
Hmm.
how I first started to look at time,
Hmm.
and that everything's at like fluid there, right there
Hmm.
in the soup, right there. And it was like, whoa. Maybe that helps. Maybe that image helps.
Well, it's not that it's complicated for myself. I just meant in general when you
Yeah.
start to try to unravel it and wrap your head around it, and when you're asking yourself, well, how can the past, present, and future all be happening at the same time is what I'm saying. Or
Mm.
we've talked about tonight about being in multiple places at, in not even the faster than the speed of light across the veil. But to try and wrap your mind around it from a human perspective is what I meant. Oh, Dave's got
Yeah.
a comment here. He says, 21 different dimensions, different versions of the spirit in each of these dimensions. Now, Dave, I'm going to ask you, what makes you think you sure or you feel sure about that there's 21, only 21? It's like shining a light from the divine body in the highest dimension. It creates 20 more versions. I like
And
that, but how do you know
and
there's only 20 or 21?
well, my question is 22 because I'm just trying to tie this into some other things that I was watching and reading about in recently.
Okay.
Um, that the different types of bloodlines that we have in our DNA,
Ooh, interesting.
and it's 22, and then it was wow, yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's like wow, too much for me. But I'm like trying to think about that.
Because I had always believed it was
It's
infinite.
the cosmic X.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he said it's a cosmic axis and 21 in the solar system. Earth is in the middle, then 10 heavens and 10 hells. Well, I guess if
Mm.
you
Mhm.
believe in hell,
Mhm.
because as time goes on, I'm on the fence about hell. Because then it almost like we get into, um, is it with Thor and that movie where they get into all the Midgard and
Mm.
there's Asgard and there's all these different things, right? I
Mhm.
have to have Dave on here with us and have a conversation about this, Leah. Yeah,
Okay.
find out because if Earth is in the middle, then there's 10 heavens and 10 hells. So, and again, please
Okay.
don't think I'm challenging you, Dave. I'm not. I'm asking out of interest where you've got that information. So again, not a challenge. I'm asking out of curiosity. Oh,
My view, I I don't know that I've given it a lot of thought, honestly. I mean, like I'm sitting here going, huh.
I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just
Yeah, I
asking
don't
because
know.
Dave's always
Oh
got an
no, I
interesting
mean,
perspective.
oh no, I didn't mean
Hmm.
about Dave. I meant just in
Yeah, no,
general, the
I'm
whole
saying
thing
it
of
from
me
my
thinking about
perspective. I'm saying it from
I'm
my perspective because I keep
yeah,
asking
yeah,
you questions. Mhm.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is, I don't know that I've really given that any thought. Just that, yes, I've heard of a place called hell. Sorry, but I'm like, oh my goodness, wow, what do I do with that?
Well, I
Oh
don't know.
boy,
It's if you believe in it or not. Oh, I'm losing my headband here. Sorry, guys. Hang on. Me and my wild hair tonight.
the
There we go. I'm back.
traditional.
Ah, I'm disheveled. It's a wild party.
Oh, don't lose your horns.
Yeah, don't lose my reindeer horns. Astrology is structured around this model. And that I cannot argue with because this is actually how Dave and I got talking. David
Mm,
Hansel was on. You two
mhm,
know David.
mhm.
And Dave Petrella happened to tune in. And David Hansel said, "Well, astrology is not really my strong suit or forte." And I said, "Me neither." And then that's when Dave piped up, "Well, I could show you guys how to do this." So I see where you're coming from. Okay, Dave. Hmm. So I don't know if there, you know what I always say though? I don't think any of us are ever going to know the answers until we transition back home, if you will. Then we'll have all the answers, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
This is supposed to be one of these for those that may feel like, why am I here? And I do believe this is one of the most difficult places to incarnate back into in a lifetime. You come in with spiritual amnesia. You come in this heavy, dense, yet extremely fragile body. Um, we don't access many of the gifts that we have, such as telepathy and oh, Leon's ready for bed.
No, no, all this yawning, I'm getting the ding, ding, ding. I'm
Oh, you're
getting
getting downloads.
you're you were talking about reincarnating in this dance,
Hmm.
and I just got the woo
Hmm.
ringing and almost deaf in the left ear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
So,
that's my signal for truth.
oh,
That's
right.
like
We
truth.
talked about that the other day. Okay, so this is how different we are. We've talked about many different aspects, but I think you said something really powerful with this, Leanne, is feeling into it and working with it, whatever it may be, and really realizing what does this mean? What does that mean? What does this mean? But for self, because again, I like even when I said hearing that inner voice, that's not how it works for you. For me, it does, but that's the beauty of when we talk with more people and we actually listen. Now, what you said, your sign for truth, for me, that's a sign of a download for me, is when I get that ringing in one ear and then I'll stop and we just had this conversation, you and I said, and lean into it and see what does it have inside of it. What maybe I don't know what that download is, but I've given it my energy and attention, and when it's meant to reveal itself, it will, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, truth again. We're gonna have to get
No,
you some
that was a
coffee.
yawn. Now that was a shift, so that was probably my download.
Hmm.
That was probably the download for me.
Hmm.
Uh, sorry,
But
that's what all this is. So all this yawning is I'm not bored. No, and I'm not sleepy. It's
yeah.
whew, yeah, just a lot of movement, energy moving,
Hmm.
fluctuation.
And you know
Yeah,
what?
my nose is all stuffy.
No, but you're right because where I really learned about this was years ago when we used to go for something called body talk and see a practitioner and they do something called tapping with it. I used to think that she was
Um,
like a psychic cuz and she'd say no and all she do for those that might not have heard of it is she'd take my wrist and she'd just ask questions and there were certain things it's quite a complicated system that she's learned how to do but she'd ask questions and she'd say what happened back when you were six? It was about May 1971 or
yes,
whatever. And I'd
yes,
be like,
yes.
what? Or she'd
Mhm,
know stuff that there was no way she'd know it. And
mhm,
I'd say,
mhm.
how do you know that? And she'd say, I don't. Your body is telling me. But when she'd
Crazy,
find
yeah.
whatever this is, and part of body talk would be, I know you understand this, Leanne, but for other people that may not, is that whatever we encounter in life, sometimes we just kind of tuck it away and we don't deal with it, whether it might be repressed emotion or trauma or whatever it may be. And then once the body talks about it, it doesn't talk, but it will answer the questions that she asks it. And I said, all she did was move my arm back and forth. By the way it moved, it meant yes or no. And the body's wanting to release this. So then,
Yeah.
once she
Wow.
discovered what it was, she would tap here and here to remove it. But my whole point of this whole big long story was she would wait for a physical sign to know we'd released it. Whether you said like a yawn, you might hear a gurgle, your stomach might growl or something, and it was the body releasing it. So that's so cool that you've tuned into that for yourself.
Um, I'll share another personal story. I was in a class. Let's see what we were doing. This was called Regeneration Healing,
Okay.
the Handbook by Ken Graydon.
Okay.
You can find him on Facebook.
Okay.
By the way, just so I'm going to give him credit, I'm going to talk about this. So I was going to an event where we were going to read processes for one another and for groups.
Mm-hmm.
And so it came my turn to read a process for the person sitting across from me. And it was for a woman who wanted me to read a process for her sister who had cancer.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
like, okay, and I mean, I kind of felt like maybe a second was thinking of maybe some people in my family who had had cancer or something. But I read, but in the middle of reading that process, I just started bawling. I mean, not just
Oh.
a sniffle. And it was like, and I was, now I would not be embarrassed. I would be like, give me a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to let it out. But at that time, I'm like, whoa, why?
Why now? Mm-hmm.
And it's like I could not recover. I mean, like I'd try and I'm like, and then
Mm-hmm.
start again. And I mean, the facilitator had to come over and like do some energetic work on me
Mm-hmm. To help
to
clear it.
alleviate it. I mean, it was whoo.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm like, wow, wow. Okay, so there obviously was something in that for me,
Yes.
that is so unexpected and just
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa. But
Yeah, but understanding that now and realizing it for what it is, right?
yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
before
yeah.
you might not have, but now you do, right? Like now you're understanding that as time goes on but I think that's so important too, is to pay attention to the signs around us, right?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you'll be open
Mm-hmm.
or if you'll pay attention, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just look around, pay attention. And I mean that in every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
So much more opens up to you
Uh,
and reveals itself. And then it's just on and on and on. I mean, it you don't know where it'll take you, but it'll be fun. Um, bumps along the way, but it'll be fun. It will be a new adventure.
I think what you
Absolutely.
said though, Leanne, is to be open. Sorry, I didn't realize you were going to say something else. Sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
done. No,
You
I'm done.
done? You're done. 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 Let's talk a little bit about your work because we're almost out of time here. So let's talk about some of the things that you're doing. Because are you still have your special on right now, or what are
Yeah,
you doing?
yeah, I do.
Well, let's talk
Yeah, I
about you.
do.
We didn't talk about all that. We just started talking. So, what's some of the work that you offer? What you do? I know what you do. She's amazing, everybody. But
Well, so I am an Akashic record practitioner,
hmm
and I also love crystals. And
yeah,
so I combine the two,
hmm
and that's pretty much what I do for business. And what that means is you can have just a general Akashic records session with me, which is I open up your Akashic records and you can ask anything you
what if
want.
people don't know what the Akashic records are?
Yes, thank you for slowing me down again. Uh, the Akashic records um, are a place, a space. Some people say a library,
hmm
but it is, I would say, a space where all of the records that were, are, or ever will be are kept,
Hmm.
stored, accessed, maintained.
Hmm.
Um, they cannot be manipulated. So you you have to have access. You have to have permission to access them, and it's such a beautiful place to be. Lots of healing can take place. You could just sit in the beautiful space of it. And what I found, and with working with crystals, that I can get a lot of information, more information than I can just, little old me trying to
Hmm.
use my mental faculties and what I can find online and read books and put together, for myself. And it's just adds so much more depth and awesomeness to talking about crystals, understanding them, communicating with them, and then putting them together in a grid. It is just worlds different there. And that's not an exaggeration. It is just beautiful.
So, what kind of questions would
Yeah.
people ask you if they were going to book a reading?
Um, so this is what I would say to someone if you're going to book a reading with me. Okay. So, between now and our session, think of 4 or 5 questions. And I would say a session with me can go up to an hour and a half.
Yeah, but what
Hour,
kind of
hour and a half.
questions? What kind of
Oh, I know.
questions? Like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I'll say that
okay.
a session with me can go an hour, hour and a half. So I say come with about 5 questions. And I usually can get to all of them, but it depends on how long we answer and play with each one. And what I tell them is you can ask anything you want. You can ask about a present life circumstance, or life purpose. What is my life purpose? Or um it could be yeah, like, what about crystals? Or um it could be, what's my next best step? I mean, it could just be really anything you want it to be. And to me, I have found they all weave together, and there is a beautiful story that comes together. And so, really, I'll say, just get your questions. We answer them, one, two,
Hmm.
three, four, five, and then at the end, it's kind of like we recap them all. And at the beginning, let me say this: there's a message that comes through, and I'll just kind of deliver what's set the stage for what's come through before they've ever asked a question. Then they asked all their questions,
Hmm.
and then we weave all of that together, and it does really come together with what was the message that came through before that person ever spoke, when
Hmm.
the records were open. It's amazing. I mean, it really is. So, and I mean, it's amazing each and every time.
Hmm.
And everything that comes through me is always just very positive and just well, at least I would say neutral, or but no, it never, no, anything that comes through is never negative, nasty, judgmental. No,
Yeah.
nothing, nothing of the sort. Nope.
And they
Mm-mm.
meet you, the records, when you ask questions, they meet you right where you're open and available to hear, meaning they're not going to give you information that maybe you're not
Yeah.
ready to hear, and
Oh,
again,
right.
never negative, right? Like it's just maybe you're
Oh,
not
no.
ready to hear. They're not going to
Right.
give only
So,
what you're ready to. Hmm.
right, only what you're ready to. So you're not going to get like a data dump, like boom, here's everything. Yeah, no, that would be so overwhelming, and plus, I don't know anyone who could channel all of that. Anyway, but yeah, it's what you're available and ready to hear at that point in time.
Hmm.
And it serves a purpose. It does. And sometimes it's not like an immediate, oh yes, I know exactly what you mean. It could come a week later, a month later, 6 months later, and take notes. Always take notes, or
Hmm.
record the session so that you can reflect back on it, because I write down all of my own when I when I read for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I write all mine down. And um,
Right there. Sorry.
yeah,
Had to grab
I
something.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I absolutely have to write everything down, and then it's like, oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see
Or
that
when
now.
you
Yep.
go back, because you and I have a lot of conversations like that, that you'll go back from a couple of years ago of stuff that you've written down, you've received in a meditation or whatever,
Mhm.
and some of it, like now, is just becoming very clear, right? Some of the stuff you
Yeah.
received a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is basically getting back to the whole thing about time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, and it's like like one of the first things that came through with meditation is time is so hard to explain to humans. I'm like, you're telling me?
That's what I was trying to say. Like for you,
Say
the water
what?
analogy worked. For me, it's like looking deeper and deeper and deeper, but it's just infinite and infinite and infinite and infinite and goes on and on and on because time
Yeah.
is hard to explain.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, okay, thank you for that. I got it. Anyway, but oh yeah. So, but I mean, lately it's like I have lost all concept of time. I'm just
Hmm.
uh, it just it's like when I watch a video,
Hmm.
I feel like I've been watching 15, 20 minutes and it's been like a minute 15. I'm like, what? I
Hmm.
mean, really? I'm
Yep.
paying attention, but are you kidding me? How
Hmm.
long have I been sitting here?
I think
And then,
time's going by faster.
well,
I
at the
do.
same time, though, so, but at the same time, like, I can't believe it's like basically 11 p.m. Eastern time.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, like, how long have I been awake today? And like all the stuff I've done, like,
Hmm.
wow, the whole day is gone. So it's like at the same time, it's weird. Yeah, exactly.
That's like why my whole day usually I have great intentions of doing stuff, and then
Yeah,
before I notice, it's like, oh my God, it's like midnight. Where did the day go? Like I feel like time is moving by so quickly. But one thing I did want to ask you, because you said you mix in crystals, but I know people also
oh
get
yeah.
crystal grids done. What is a crystal grid and why would somebody want one?
Um, okay, so when someone requests a crystal, okay, why would somebody want a crystal grid?
Hmm.
Um, so the question that I always pose to someone is this:
Hmm.
what would you like to create or support in your life?
Hmm.
So then explain to me what situation it is, or
Yeah.
well, really, you're explaining your situation, and I really do want to hear it, or I want it written in your own words. I need that
Hmm.
because then I take that into the Akashic records, and then the the shape, the color, the crystals, the design,
Hmm.
mantras, maybe all that comes
Hmm.
through, and that's put together because of I went into that person's records with
Hmm.
their specific intention, and
Okay.
that's what comes forth. So with me, it
Cool.
would be so for me it would be whatever you want it to be. Do you want love? Do you want to attract a house,
Hmm.
successful business, um, stave off negative,
Hmm.
you know, energy, whatever. I mean, really, it could be anything, and
Right.
I truly mean anything. But the most popular ones are abundance and
Yeah.
prosperity.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
And the next one would be like love and relationships, like bonds and healthy relationships
Hmm.
between people. Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
So when the person uses it, and all the work and things that you prepared for them, do they bring it into meditation? Do they just set it out where they're going to see it? Or how would somebody use that? And again, I'm asking you this so people can understand how you work
Yes.
and why they should get a hold of you because your grids are powerful. She shares them in my groups and they're amazing, the things you come up with.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So when someone gets a grid that is constructed through the Akashic Record session, what I do is I will um, write up the instructions and the picture. And this is like, I kid you not, I can, whatever I see in the Akashic Records, so far, I've been able to go online with whatever search engine and I can find it. I kid you not.
A grid for it, you mean?
Yes, the
Oh.
color, the shape, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
was. And I'm like, wow. But
Okay.
basically what I'm saying is so I will find the shape. I find the shape and the color, the design, the pattern, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's geometric patterns, but it's not always.
Mm-hmm.
But and so I will have it printed out and I will send that to them. And then I send a copy that'll be marked up with where they're going to put their crystals on that
Mm-hmm.
pattern. And so then they will set it up in their space. And by their space, I mean a place where the grid will not be disturbed by
Mm-hmm.
children, animals, or whatever else, but
Right.
but in a place that can be central to the energy flow of your space.
Okay.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
that could be a room, that could be a house. I mean, it depends on the situation because then that
Mm-hmm.
could be something that's discussed.
Right.
Where do you put it?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of the grids that I use, I mean, that I make them mobile. Like I pick them up and carry them. I can move them
Mm-hmm.
so that they're out of the way if I need them to be out of the way. But um, they also can be put somewhere and they can stay somewhere as long as they are needed to be kept active. That
Okay.
that can be an interesting thing to determine. But you can reactivate a grid
Mm-hmm.
because you activate grids to your intention,
Mm-hmm.
and you can reactivate them, which would be cleanse them and reactivate them, which would be cleanse them of any stale energies or things I may have picked up or collected, and then you would re-energize them with your intention again, and
Okay.
then they can just keep them active.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, you keep a crystal grid active as long as you feel it needs to be active.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be up and active for you, for your intention.
Cool. I want to
Mhm.
stop just for a sec because we're almost out of time here. Because Zachman said, "Great show tonight. Have a good night, everybody. And if I don't see you until then, have a Merry Christmas. Love you guys. We love you too, Zach. Merry Christmas to you and your family, to you and Jamie, your fiance, and thank you always for all your support. Leanne, where can they find you?
Everyone can find me on Facebook at The Crystal Architect and on Instagram at Architect the Crystal.
Hmm. I love that name.
And currently, I have a special of all of my sessions. My services are $111
I love it.
through December 31st, purchased by December 31st, and it can be scheduled into January. So
Oh,
no problem. No
nice.
worries. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm easy to work with. Don't worry about it.
She
Don't worry
is.
about
She's super laid back, you guys.
it.
Dave says, Merry Christmas, Lorilei and Leanne. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank Debbie for being here, the Dell for being here. For other people, if you were over on Facebook and we didn't see you, I apologize. But I want to wish everybody a safe, happy holiday together. Remember, as Leanne mentioned, keep it simple. I think that if you come from a place of love, you throw a little laughter in there, you can really have a beautiful holiday season. As long as, like I said, it doesn't have to be like every other year. Just think about the memories from previous years and what was important. I think that's what the spirit of the holiday season is about. Anything you want to add to that quickly, Leanne?
No, other than just happy holidays, everyone. And yeah, keep it simple. Like, don't put any more. You know what? Give yourself grace.
Yes.
Give yourself, give yourself all the love and grace that you would give anyone else.
Hmm.
Keep it simple. There it
Hmm.
is.
There it is,
Enjoy
right there.
yourself. Enjoy yourself, and
Hmm.
enjoy your time with everyone else that you
Hmm.
choose to give your time to.
Hmm. I love it. And I want to thank you for being here. Thank you. I couldn't think of anybody more would want to have well, we kind of had a Christmas party, kind of not. We got a little woo woo. We had a couple laughs. And I want to let you guys know that you can find me on facebook.com/, the Angel Rock. You can book readings with me. I do Akashic Records too. I do crystal Reiki energy healing sessions. I do all kind of things. I find the best thing to do is just throw a little bit in there. I will tell you guys though very quickly, if you're looking for something to do New Year's Eve, or maybe you're having a holiday party, and that's something I do as well online. When I have a group party or whatever, maybe people need a little direction from spirit. If that's the kind of party maybe you're having, I'm happy to do that. Also have two groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things within the paranormal realm, and then the Angel Rocket Tribe for many of the things that we talked about tonight and much more. And again, thank you, Leanne, so much for being here. And for everybody that was here live, or if you're watching on the replay, again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, or however, what, or whenever you may celebrate. And we will be back next week. I don't know what I've got planned for you. You might just have little old me, because with the holiday season, it's only 2 days after Christmas when we're back again. So we'll see. You
Mhm.
never know. Okay, so much love and light, everybody. See you next week. Night.
Bye. Good night.